What's going on, traders? Happy Tuesday to you. March 7th here, and we are going over the S&P 500. Blood in the streets. Markets ending lower 1.5% in the red, 1.53 if you want to be specific about it. Final print 398.27, as I mentioned, right on that 50-day SMA here on the daily. So interesting spot to close, and of course we have Powell speaking tomorrow again, which could bring more volatility into the markets, either up or down. But so we'll have to see how that plays out. As I mentioned in the video over the weekend and on Twitter, that we were coming into the top of this range. I felt that some type of a retracement, probably into that 400 area, would be likely, and we did get that. So that short position I did take started to really pay today, and started taking a bunch of profits on that. So that was nice to see. Before we get any further into this, a couple of things. If you're liking the content, please like, subscribe. If you think that we're going higher or lower from here, I would love to see in the comments. And just a reminder, of course, that these videos are for entertainment and for educational purposes only. All right. So with that being said, one thing that I am looking at for tomorrow, and I'll take this even more with a grain of salt because of Powell, but we could come back test this trend line and then start to head back lower. So that is something I'll be watching for. You know, I do feel like a 400 back test would make sense in my in my opinion, and then we'll really see how strong this move down is. You know, if the volatility is small tomorrow, and if there was no if Powell wasn't speaking, I would be more in the camp that we probably would see some consolidation. We could still see that, I don't know. So either way, I'll be taking it a little bit cautious tomorrow, and just wait to see kind of how the market wants to play itself out, see what things look like in pre-market, and then try to make a little bit of a game plan. But if we do come in and back test here on the daily, we could be setting up to kind of form a bit of a bear flag if we stay under here and then make another move down lower. That's just a guess, though. We'll have to see, of course, with Powell. And we've got the 50 right under us. So it's a really interesting spot. Gap has been filled to the downside as well. So, all right. Now, before we get into the intraday price action, I wanted to look at the dollar index. We were looking at that yesterday, but before we do, I also still have to point out a bit of this divergence going on here. We were talking about that oversold reading we were getting in the Momo, and we are coming up with price coming down. So you want to note that divergence, but big seller volume here. This candle, 91% sellers today. Only 10% of buyers, so bulls were nowhere to be found today, and really for the last 2 days, but you could see the much more increased volume today. All right, so let's look at the dollar index really quickly, and then because we were looking at that yesterday in the last video, and there were a couple of setups here that we were watching. All right, so here was the first one. I was really only looking for a 50% regression into this channel, but we have been watching this bull flag here, and boom, the breakout did ensue. So this is not an encouraging sign for the equities market, for the bulls, but we could see a pullback here, retest this trend line, BRB, and then come back up higher. So I'll be watching for that scenario. We are still kind of in a dicey area as far as the Momo here is concerned, but this could come right back up into this high overbought range. So that's certainly a possibility, but probably need to cool off a little bit. So I definitely will be keeping an eye on the dollar, see if we get that BRB, because then we could potentially open up a short swing and play it back up higher. So big move here. I posted this chart on my Twitter as well, and yeah, that played out better than expected, and nice for the short, of course. All right, so that's definitely something. Rates, I think, were pretty much flat today. Not too much to report on that end. We're just in that base zone again where we were before. So nothing really to look at there. Let's get back into the S&P, go over some of the intraday price action. I was green on options today, red on futures. I really wasn't happy with my performance in my trading. I kind of felt a little just disconnected from the market, just not really in sync with it today. I had a couple of nice options trades, but futures didn't work out for me too much. So ended small red. That's fine. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Anyway, so let's look into today's price action really quickly, and then we'll talk about a little bit for tomorrow, although it's going to be a little hard to kind of anticipate what might happen due to the fact that Powell will be speaking, I think, around 10 again, so we'll have to see. All right, so we did open up lower here, kind of consolidated, and then boom, big candle right down. All right, so at this point, I still, because we had come in right around this 103, this 401.30 area. And let me just go back really quickly, actually. Let me just go back. I took a long around in this zone here, and I'll show you why. We were doing, and this was a part of my plan that I did mention as far as the bull's concerned. Here we go. You can see here. I was looking for this fake break of the trend, basically a BRB coming in here. I was talking about that as a potentiality of something that I wanted to play. Let's just shoot back a little bit further really quickly. Okay, here we go. So I was trying to catch here. The BRB talked about this, that, you know, I would try along. We came in, try to come back up. Of course, that didn't work. We broke through, but that's why I took the long there. And all right, let me get back to that other template, and then we'll get back into it. So that was my first trade that really didn't work out too well for me. We came up here, we tested this supply area. I've talked about this 403.15 before on the video. The first candle came up. What I was really thinking, I almost took this short, but we were still over that 400 key level for me. So I still, even though we had sold down, I still was kind of maintaining a little bit of a intraday bullish bias here. But I was talking about in chat when we came up, I said look for this 50% retracement in the candle. We did get that. I didn't take the short though. I actually was riding this long, and then I had gotten stopped out as we started breaking down. Either way, this was certainly a nice short opportunity, which, like I said, I wasn't able to take advantage of. But then we had come down here, got it close again to this 400. So, you know, for me, I was trying alongs a couple of times today as we were in that tricky spot, you know, between that big 400 and that 403 supply. So I thought, you know, we could potentially hold that. I was giving the bulls the benefit of the doubt today, and that's where I kind of got chopped up in the markets. I took another trade here as we came into 400, you know, and I just, you know, my mistake, at least on the futures, was that I didn't exit most of my position coming up as we just really made these lower highs overall. So, you know, we could see one here. I could have taken this short as well. I could have taken a short and off of here, off of this base, once we broke down, but I did not. So when we had come up here, now you can see the 3 points of contact. I didn't have it on this chart. And I don't know if I had it on my other charts here, but we basically had come up and done a double top, triple top 3 times into this area. So another short opportunity that I missed. Again, I was trying to play that long off the 400 a few times, you know, or at least once today, and then I took the BRB here. That didn't work out. Obviously, I got stopped out here on most of my runners long once we really confirmed under that 400. And then price here, another higher low coming in to retest that base where we broke out from before on the downside. I had mentioned on Twitter, watch that once we had pushed up here, I said watch that 418. That was important for me right around here. And once we did break under, they didn't even have a chance to hold 400. They completely hit the bid, sold it out. A little pop here again, but just a back test of that area that we previously had established, and it had come down. Now finally I got on the short side. We were under that 400. I was out of all my longs, and on this little ascending wedge here, I did take a short. Finally, my risk would probably have been, was over this base here that we had created before. So we had come down. I was really looking for that 397.50 tag, which, under 400, that's usually going to be my target area. That's a new demand, important area. You've heard me, of course, mention that before on these recaps many times. And we didn't quite get it. I think the low was 397.63 here, so 10 cents off. I had gotten out most of my puts here, but once we had come into this area, I didn't deserve it, but I actually took some SPX calls in this zone, and I got about just under 100% on it, so that kind of saved me today. We had come up, I was noticing we did retrace a little bit, but for me, this whole area here was a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders, and I thought we would continue to see a little bit of short covering into the close, which we did get. And as far as that was concerned, I was looking for a test of this breakdown candle, and I forgot to mark this off here with my targets again, and we've been over this, that I look for this setup all the time. These points of pain. Retested that first one, and then I was mentioning in chat that I was looking for the second target, which would have been here, and we got it. And I had taken most of those profits here and got out my last one once we broke here. But of course on SPX, coming from all the way up here down to here, at the end of the day, you can be up 80% and then down 20%, within a blink of an eye. So I cut that last one for a small loss, but that was fine. I was kind of happy with that trade. Definitely more of a lotto, but this key area of that 395.50 zone, 397.50, 397 kind of last stand for that zone is pretty important for me. So I was willing to give that a shot, of course not with any big size or anything meaningful, but it certainly did help me throughout through the day, or to end the day, because I was red overall, trying to catch a couple of these moves off 400 and the BRB. So I ended small red today. That was fine. Nothing I can't handle, and I'm sure I'll make it back and then some tomorrow. But either way, the short swing, of course, was helping the P&L as well, so I was glad to have that hedge on and have that play out in my favor. All right, so as far as tomorrow, really, I do think that 400 backtest would be likely. It's a little hard to really predict what price is going to do with JPOW, but I do think as far as just like liquidity and just normal price action, all things being even, a 400 test would be likely, and a real sign at that point to see whether or not that this push to the downside has any legs or not. Really under that 397.50 is when you're going to start to get a little bit more bearish. Oh, here, of course, later on it does break it and go down to my target. Oh well. Anyway, so we'll have to see about this 400. Over 400, I'll start to get a little bit more bullish, but really we're going to need to see probably back over this 403.15 supply zone. That's when you're really going to feel confident. But over 400, I'll probably be looking for a retrace back into that zone. Of course, I'll take caution around that 401, 402 zone, as it's caused some issues before, as we went over earlier. But under that 397, probably I'll be looking for that 395.50 area, 395. We've talked about that zone before, and then coming down into the 292.25 zone, 20, and then 391 area, and of course the big 390. So we'll have to check out those levels. Again, a little hard to say exactly what might happen with Powell speaking, but I guess we'll at least try to formulate a little bit more of a plan in pre-market, see where we're at, but of course it is a little tricky either way. All right, well, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, comment where you think we're going. Is Powell going to save us and send the bulls higher? Is he going to give us more blood in the streets? We're going to head lower. Like I was saying, if we didn't have Powell, I would be more in the camp of consolidation tomorrow. But it should be interesting to see how the markets react, if at all. All right, I wish you the best trading tomorrow possible, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.